Blog Talk Radio.
Hello everyone, this is Lori Smith on Blog Talk Radio. It is Friday night, 9:30 p.m. Calgary, Alberta time, February the 5th. I'm happy to be here tonight, and as always, and I hope you're all well, and hope you can tune in and listen to the show. We're on for half an hour tonight. This is child abuse prevention, and human rights abuse prevention is up to us, and we've been talking all week, actually Monday, Wednesday night, about stress and just the issues that surround stress. Everyone's, can have a lot of stress in their lives, and I just thought, wow, we should maybe talk about that, because stress is so huge for a lot of people, and can cause people to, to really do some things that they might not normally do because they're just under so much pressure. So we'll continue on with some topic-related information. I found some great information on the web. So I'm happy you can be here. And tonight I thought we'd cover, it's an article I found on a website that is called Dealing with the Effects of Trauma, a Self-Help Guide. So that's what we're going to do tonight. And this is a live internet streaming radio, blog talk radio program. It's live. My switchboard's on, but my chat room is not up tonight. I don't have anything typed in there. I'll just read out resources and references to y'all tonight. And so I hope you can get something out of this. I know that I will. This is a great article I found, and I'm looking forward to really getting in depth into it. And I just wanted to do some housekeeping. I've been doing this lately just because I don't know where the players are, and so many players, so many players are getting placed around, and I'm just not sure where they are. And I just want everybody to know that I'm not a professional counselor or therapist. I don't have any professional degrees in that area, and this is not a professional show. It's just a blog talk radio show that I do just because I'm a survivor of child abuse and secondhand domestic violence, and I just know there's so many people suffering out there who who need support and need information. And I thought, what better thing to do than to share my resources that I find, and some of them might be good for you and some might not, right? So listen at your own discretion, please. I cover topics on child abuse, child sexual abuse, domestic violence, and all kinds of abuse, because that's what I'm speaking up and speaking out against. I just think abuse needs to stop, and so that's what we cover. And I know that there's so many people that are very sensitive to the subject of abuse, and it can cause people who are survivors to trigger, and we don't want that. So that's why I just say, please listen at your own discretion. You know what's good for you to listen to, and I always give the topic, the subject of the topic for the show, so that everyone knows ahead of time what we'll be talking about. And this way you have the option to turn it off, right? It's so important to me because I do care very much. That's why I'm doing this show. It's just so important for you to be in a safe place, and I just think everyone should not be triggered by what they listen to. So make sure you're in a safe place when you listen to this. If it's a sensitive subject and you just don't think you'll be able to handle it, please turn it off. Just go listen to something else that's more soothing and more comforting, right? Because I just think everybody deserves that opportunity. And so, and if you're under 18, maybe you could get someone like a friend or a sister who's older who can listen to it with you, and just to make sure that they think it's something that you should be listening to. This is a very serious topic that I cover, and it's not something that I take lightly. And so, I grew up in an abusive home, and I know what it's all about. And so I understand, like a lot of people don't, a lot of youngsters don't have parental figures who care enough to listen to to pay attention to what you're listening to. So maybe a school counselor or someone that you trust, right, that you can really trust. Maybe you could have them listen to it with you, and then they could sort of say yes, or I think you could listen to it, or no, right? It's so important. I just care so much about people, and my whole thing is child rights. I'm a student at MRU in Calgary. I'm in between classes. I'm taking some time off, and I just feel like, my whole life now is dedicated to child abuse prevention, human rights abuse prevention, and just the whole mission to stop and prevent child abuse. So I care very much about children, and that's why I'm doing this disclaimer, because I think that children should know, that in all honesty, it's not really a show for children. And so it is about children, but not necessarily for children. So make sure that someone's listening with you, maybe that they could talk to you about some of the stuff that I'm talking about and just explain it if it's not something you quite understand, right? And I think that's just so important. So we'll get on with the show now. And I'm so glad you can be here. I have so much support from so many people, and I thank you all, every single one of you, from the bottom of my heart. It means very much to me. And we'll go right into the article here. Dealing with the Effects of Trauma, a Self-Help Guide. This I found at http mentalhealth.samhsa.gov. This is the SAMHSA's National Mental Health Information Center. And if you need that information, get a hold of me. I'm on Facebook, and you can send me a message on Blog Talk Radio if you sign in and get on Blog Talk Radio, and you can send me a message there as well. It's a publication that they did, and they said that it's okay to use this publication. You just can't charge a fee for it. So they don't mind the information being out there. The introduction. They did a nice introduction here, and I'm going to start right with that. It does give a good starting point, and they even mentioned that this is a booklet. It's just an introduction, a starting point to dealing with the effects of trauma. And trauma, we can experience trauma in our lives from just about anything, right? It doesn't have to be child abuse. It doesn't have to be domestic violence. I just know that there's a whole lot of trauma that goes hand in hand with abuse, right? And so, that's why I'm covering this topic tonight. But, the car accidents, just accidents of any kind, sicknesses, just anything in a person's life that causes you to suffer from a traumatic experience can bring about, issues that are related to the effects of the trauma. And so, PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, and there's all kinds of issues that come up with this. And we were covering the issues of stress with the www.helpguide.org, and we were covering that all week, understanding stress and stuff. So I thought we'd move right into trauma, because it's just so important to cover it. I've experienced a lot of trauma in my life, and it was hard. And I wish I would have had some help, and I didn't reach out. I didn't reach out to anybody. And so, I think I would have come a long way, a lot faster, had I reached out and got some help and got some support. But I just suffered through it myself, thinking, oh no, I'm so used to living like this. I'm so used to feeling like this. I'll just keep going, right? Just keep plugging along. And I really wish I would have reached out. That's why I'm here to say, please reach out. Make sure you get some professional help if you need it, or some of these great support groups out there that I'm involved with people that are there for you, and they know what it's like to be in these situations. And I just love these groups because I'm finding so much support and friendship. And so we'll start with the introduction. It says, this is a serious issue. This booklet is just an introduction, a starting point that may give you the courage to take action. It is not meant to be a treatment program. The ideas and strategies are not intended to replace treatment you are currently receiving. It says, you may have had one or many very upsetting, frightening, or traumatic things happen to you in your life, or that threatened or hurt something you love, even your community. When these kinds of things happen, you may not get over them quickly. In fact, you may feel the effects of these traumas for many years, even for the rest of your life. Sometimes you don't even notice effects right after the trauma happens. Years later, you may begin having thoughts, nightmares, and other disturbing symptoms. You may develop these symptoms and not even remember the traumatic thing or things that once happened to you. So I'm just reading right directly from their page here. For many years, the traumatic things that happened to people were overlooked as a possible cause of frightening, distressing, or sometimes disabling emotional symptoms such as depression, anxiety, phobias, delusions, flashbacks, and being out of touch with reality. In recent years, many researchers and healthcare providers have become convinced of the connection between trauma and these symptoms. They are developing new treatment programs and revising old ones to better meet the needs of people who have had traumatic experiences. They go on to say, this booklet can help you to know if traumatic experiences in your life may be causing some or all of the difficult symptoms you are experiencing. It may give you some guidance in working to relieve these symptoms and share with you some simple and safe things you can do to help yourself heal from the effects of trauma. So this is just great. I just love this. This is so good. Some examples of traumatic experiences that may be causing your symptoms include, now these are examples of traumatic experiences that people might go through that cause symptoms, that people go through. So the physical, emotional, or sexual abuse, neglect, war experiences, outbursts of temper and rage, alcoholism, your own or in your family, physical illnesses, surgeries, and disabilities, sickness in your family, loss of close family members and friends, natural disasters, and accidents. Some things that may be very traumatic to one person hardly seem to bother another person. If something bothers you a lot and it doesn't bother someone else, it doesn't mean there is something wrong with you. People respond to experiences differently. And that's just so true, I experienced physical, emotional, and sexual abuse, neglect, not war, outbursts of temper and rage, yes, alcoholism, no, physical illnesses, surgeries, and disabilities, yes, sickness in your family, yes, loss of close family members and friends, yes, and natural disasters, no, and accidents, yes. So I've experienced almost all of that in my lifetime, and it's no wonder I feel kind of shaken and upset most of the time. I'm actually an easygoing person, and I just kind of roll with it. But if something happens, it kind of brings it all back. Like I was talking about on one of my shows, I think it was this morning, or it might have been yesterday. That if something happens at work or something, that it just kind of goes wrong. It kind of brings back all this stuff that I suffered in my whole lifetime, right? It sort of brings it all back. And so, there's ways to cope with that, and that's what I'm finding out, right? That we don't have to suffer in silence. That's why I'm doing this show, right? It says, do you feel that traumatic things that happen to you may be causing some or all of your distressing and disabling emotional symptoms? Examples of symptoms that may be caused by trauma include anxiety, insomnia, agitation, irritability or rage, flashbacks or intrusive memories, feeling disconnected from the world. Now, these are some of the things that we might feel that might be sort of brought on by trauma, right? And being shut down, being very passive, feeling depressed, eating problems, needing to do certain things over and over, unusual fears, impatience, always having to have things a certain way, doing strange or risky things, having a hard time concentrating, wanting to hurt yourself, being unable to trust anyone, feeling unlikable, feeling unsafe, using harmful substances, keeping to yourself, and overworking. It says, perhaps you have been told that you have a psychiatric or mental illness like depression, bipolar disorder, or manic depression, schizophrenia, borderline personality disorder, obsessive compulsive disorder, dissociative disorder, an eating disorder, or an anxiety disorder. The ways you can help yourself handle these symptoms and the things your healthcare providers suggest as treatment may be helpful whether your symptoms are caused by trauma or by a psychiatric illness. So, see, there's lots of things they can do, I know it, that can help us out, right? And even, just to get the support and just to know that the support is there, right? Anxiety, I have minor issues with anxiety. Insomnia, I don't have insomnia. Irritability or rage, not so much, but I used to. Flashbacks or intrusive memories, I do have some of that. Feeling disconnected from the world, not anymore. Being shut down, not anymore. But see, a lot of these I used to experience on a regular basis, and even to the point where I was wanting to self-harm and unable to trust people, feeling unlikable. This is all stuff that I've experienced. Feeling unsafe, using harmful substances. I did that for years. Keeping to myself, yes, very much, because every time I make a friend, it seems like they find out about my past and then they don't like me anymore. I think they just feel like I'm just too wounded or something. That was before, when I was actually really suffering and I needed a friend, and that's when they would, I guess it was just too scary for them or something, right? Overworking, I know I do that, but I'm very passionate about what I do, and so it's really therapeutic for me. I do actually make time to rest, and I'm not sure if people know that, but I do have lots of time to rest, and that's when I talk to my friends and stuff and, kick back. But I'm happy to be working hard and to be doing what I'm doing, so it's worth it to me. But just to be working all the time, you do need to take a break, and that's what I'm finding, that I do have to kind of squeeze time in there to relax and take it easy, right? We all do. And so it's important, right? It says help from healthcare providers, counselors, and groups. You may decide to reach out to healthcare providers for assistance in relieving the effects of trauma. This is a good idea. The effects of trauma, even trauma that happened many years ago, can affect your health. You may have an illness that needs treatment. In addition, your healthcare provider may suggest that you take medications or certain food supplements to relieve your symptoms. Many people find that getting this kind of healthcare support gives them the relief and energy they need to work on other aspects of healing. So that's a good idea, right? I guess it can help take care of the major issues, so that we can as people who are dealing with this type of stuff can actually find relief from that, and then the energy that we would have spent on that we can use to sort of work better things into our lives, right? I just think that's a great idea. To find healthcare providers in your community who have expertise in addressing issues related to trauma, contact your local mental health agency, hospital, or crisis service. And I know there's crisis lines in the front of the books, in the front of the phone books and stuff, and you can find those. And there's support lines for people who are just having trouble and problems, and there's people sitting on those lines that are just like us, and they might have been there too at one time, and they just want to help out. And, if you don't get some good help one place, just try another place, right? That's what I say. Just keep looking. That's the important thing, right? It says here, if you possibly can, work with a counselor or in a special program designed to people or for people who have been traumatized. A counselor or people leading the program may refer you to a group. So they might even have some groups to sort of suggest, right? These groups can be very helpful. However, keep in mind that you need to decide for yourself what you are going to do and how and when you are going to do it. You must be in charge of your recovery in every way. I like this article. This is great. It kind of empowers you to do it, and they even have a section here on empowerment. Wherever you go for help, the program or treatment should include the following, which is empowerment, validation, connection, have hope, take personal responsibility, talk to one or more people about what happened to you, develop a close relationship with another person. These are what they're saying, that these treatment programs or programs that a person might choose, they should include all that, right? So we're going to read those, and you can find this article too, right? I read that out. I'll do that again. http://mentalhealth.samhsa.gov. It's just a great article. If you wanted to read along with me, you certainly can. Empowerment. You must be in charge of your healing in every way to counteract the effects of the trauma where all control was taken away from you, right? Like, suffering from child abuse where, as children don't have any control over really what their parents are doing to them. And, you're helpless. And I was there. And so, it says you must be in charge of your healing so that, you can counteract the effects of the fact that you didn't have any control of what was happening to you, right? And so I totally am a big one for self-empowerment and empowering people and empowering myself. I do it all the time because I know, that's what my big thing is we matter, we do count. And so, really we are in charge of how we're going to react and how we're going to look at life, right? I mean, coming from the abusive home that I came from, I could have easily just given up, but I'm like, no, I'm just striving to make it and striving to stay alive. I did that for many years, and a lot of people didn't realize and didn't know, but that's the way you just hide that stuff, right? And thinking, oh well, they don't care anyway, or what could they do, right? So I just didn't have that support. But now, as I've really walked out a lot of my healing, I can see that just taking those steps, and then once you take the first few steps, you start thinking, man, this is empowering. I can do this, and we all deserve to have a good life, and that's just why I keep just steady talking about the fact that you just have to keep reaching out and make these relationships and find these support people who can really help, right? Because there are some people out there some really good people that I'm finding out right now, that there's a lot of really good people out there, and you just got to reach out. A lot of times people don't know to reach out to you, and that's the thing. People wouldn't have even realized really my situation. They didn't. A lot of people in my life, in my 30s and stuff, had no idea really, except for one or two people that I kind of talked to about it. But really, for the most part, not that many people knew my situation, and so they wouldn't have known to reach out to me. So you do have to reach out yourself, right? Validation, you need others to listen to you, to validate the importance of what happened to you, to bear witness and to understand the role of this trauma in your life. And, for instance, if, for any reason, any traumatic event, it doesn't have to be abuse, but, I'm just talking about that because I can relate to it. But, I was in car accidents and many car accidents and didn't go to the hospital, just crazy stuff. And, that's traumatic too, and I still have like flashbacks and stuff from those. And one car accident that I had myself put me and my friends in the hospital, and it was just terrible. Kind of crippled me and crippled my friends, and we could have been killed, and that was traumatic. And a lot of my friends actually all of them that were in the vehicle actually suffered from trauma from that, right? And they already had traumatic lives because they were, most of them growing up in abusive homes. So we were all hanging out together, and we already had enough trauma, and then to have that happen, right? But then I was in their car accidents with them, so it was kind of even. But the thing is just bad things that happen to people all the time, right? So validation is important, You need others to listen to you, and this way they can validate the importance of what happened to you, right? To bear witness and to understand the role of this trauma in your life, they said. And I believe that's true, and I agree with it 100%. There's nothing worse than somebody asking you to open up to them and saying, "Oh yeah, tell me your story. What happened to you?" And then you tell them your story, and then they're just like, "Oh well, that's no big deal. What's the matter with you?" Instead of saying, "Oh man, that's just terrible," and just having some empathy and some compassion, right? I've ran into lots of people like that, and who just for whatever reason cannot be empathetic, right? And so, it's good to find people who have been there and experienced it and who know what it's like to be in that situation, right? Because then they understand what's behind it and the pain or just the whole trauma around it, right? That's surrounding it. I just think it's so important. Then they list connection. Trauma makes you feel very alone. As part of your healing, you need to reconnect with others. This connection may be part of your treatment. If you feel the cause of your symptoms is related to trauma in your life, you will want to be careful about your treatment and in making decisions about other areas of your life. The following guidelines will help you decide how to help yourself feel better. So I just love that. Connection as part of the healing. We need to connect with others, reconnect, right? And that's just so important, absolutely important. That's what I mean. For years I just sat around in misery, really by myself, kind of feeling down and sort of self-loathing for many, many years. And I kept making a few friends, and then off they'd go, and it just didn't work out for the friendship and stuff. And I thought, man, this is just horrible, and I just didn't have anybody to talk to. And it's great to now, because I've started reaching out, I've found a lot of people to connect with, and they feel the connection too. And that's the big thing. You can connect together, and you've experienced the same kinds of things, maybe not quite exactly the same, but enough to know what that person's dealing with, and it's great because you can help each other, and that's what I find is going on in my life right now. So many people are reaching out to me, and I'm reaching out to them, and they think that I'm helping them, but they're actually helping me. That's the beautiful thing. I'm glad to be able to be a friend and be a support person. It makes me feel really good. It's actually very therapeutic, and also in the meantime, they're helping me. And, I just tell them, I tell them all the time, thank you so much, because they really are making such a huge difference in my life. And that's the important thing, just to be able to share that feeling of, of a connection, right? It's like a connection. It's totally true, right? And then they said, have hope. It is important that you know that you can and will feel better. In the past, you may have thought you would never feel better, that the horrible symptoms you experience would go on for the rest of your life. Many people who have experienced the same symptoms that you are experiencing are now feeling much better. They have gone on to make their lives the way they want them to be and to do the things they want to do. And man, I tell you, I'm just an example of that. I never thought that I'd ever be able to move past what was in my heart, I just thought that I was going to live and die that way. And I didn't expect to live that long. And I'm looking back on it now, and I'm thinking, it's not so far beyond me that I can't be involved. It actually makes me want to be more involved, because I think hope is so important. You have to have hope. And I'm just here to tell you, keep the hope alive, and you keep yourself alive, And if you're suffering right now, you get a hold of me. If you can't find resources, we'll find them together. I don't have all the answers. I don't have all the resources, but man, I am here to try to help anyone find them because it's so important. You do count. You do matter. You matter to me. And so, that's all I have to say. I can't be any clearer. Make sure you do stay with us, and because I'm telling you, I'm on the other side now, looking back, and I'm thinking, oh man, I'm telling you, my life was pretty black and pretty bleak for so many years, and most people didn't realize it. And if I can't even explain it. And so, just being able to move that much past it has taken me to a place that is so comforting, right? Because I've moved past that stuff that was in my heart. I've been able to heal from a lot of it. I'm still working with some of it, right? Maybe always will be working with some of it, but it's manageable now. That's the whole issue, right? It's manageable, and that's what I wish for all of you. Anybody who's out there suffering right now, just keep working towards that healing, that goal of the day that you can walk past it and say, wow, it is so good to be on this side of it. You know what I mean? Because I'm serious, it can be done. And I know I've talked to so many survivors out there who've made it, and they're just a testimony to me because they make me want to keep going, because I'm like, man, look what they've been through and look what they're doing. You know what I mean? And they're like my hope, they're like my inspiration. So that's what I'm saying to you. You got to just keep reaching out, walking it out day by day. Get help where you can. And there's some great resources out there, and I'm gonna actually stop here and read some of those. Tomorrow we can start. Not tomorrow. Sorry, Sunday. Sunday we're going to take a look at the rest of the article. Take personal responsibility. Talk to one or more people about what happened to you. There's all kinds of good stuff on here. We're going to cover everything, like things you can do every day to help yourself feel better. And you can look at this article, ahead of time, and it's really good. And the healing journey, there's barriers to healing, moving forward on your healing journey. We're going to cover all that and more. So I hope you can join me on Sunday. And if not, you can catch the archives. That's just great. I really appreciate it. And I just hope this helps out someone, and just make sure you keep reaching out. I'm a volunteer. I'm actually the Canada Regional Director for Dreamcatchers for Abused Children, and I'm so happy to stand with them and to support their mission, our mission. And I just can't say enough good things about them. Their website, http dreamcatchersforabusedchildren.com. Check it out. There is some great info on there, and they have a free PDF download, the Child Abuse Handbook, written by Donna Scheer. Now I know how to pronounce her name properly, because she's going to be my new Blog Talk, the host of Dreamcatchers Talk Radio, coming right up Tuesday night. So you have to check that out. That's Tuesday night, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we're going to be on just for 15 minutes as an introduction show, and she's hosting that show, and I'm co-hosting, and I'm just so honored, really, to be able to be a part of it. So I hope you will tune in, and they're going to have some great information. There's Purple Phoenix Survivors. This is a faith-based, members-only women's support group, but I belong to it. If you're a woman and you're suffering, and it's a great place to get some support. It's http purplephoenix.ning.com. And there is the Survivor Manual, www.survivormanual.com. There's so many good blogs and information, educational information on there, crisis support, survivor networks, coalitions, and advocacy centers, survivor and supporter blogs. There's Heal My PTSD. That is www.healmyptsd.com. That's Michelle Rosenthal. She's a lovely lady. I got to talk to her, and she's awesome. And she knows all about post-traumatic stress disorder, and that's one good website. I would recommend it. I go on it, check it out all the time. Suicide.org. www.suicide.org. That's Kevin Caruso, and this man, he says, I love you and I will never stop fighting for you. And you got to check his website out. It's great, and I love that man because he loves everybody. So that's wonderful. And there's 1 in 6. That's a for survivors and supporters. 1 in 6 is for men who've suffered sexual or unwanted sexual abuse and abuse of domestic violence and stuff. http www.1in6.org. So I hope you can join me, and I hope you take care of yourself. if you need more references, please get a hold of me. And I've got so many more. And I just wish you all the best for the weekend. Take care, everyone, and keep reaching out and keep that hope alive. You can do it. I'm counting on it. And then I want you to come on my show and tell me how you did it, because people need to hear this stuff. I'm telling you, we do need you to stay with us. So please take care of yourselves, okay? Talk to you soon.